Hi everyone, it's Anja here and I'm back with another video for Ophelia Talks. And in this video I would like to show you how I made my little crochet buddy here. So this is like a pin cushion really. It is really easy to make, and I found that during the last few months I have just started using it as the keeper of all my tools basically. I sit a lot in my sofa and it's just so handy to keep everything together in one location. So the front is made up of a granny square and the back are just 4 little granny squares. So I am going to recreate that for you today. Now these are some leftovers from the neutral baby blanket pack that we have, so that's what I'm going to use. Okay, so let's get started. As this is Starcraft Special DK, I always use a 3.5 hook. So that's what I'm going to be using today. And I'm going to make every center of the granny square that I'm going to be using cream. So you make your slip knot, insert your hook, close the loop, and you're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then you go back to the first chain that you did, insert, picking up 1 strand here, 2 strands on the back of your hook, yarning over, pulling that through that chain, just tightening everything a bit, and then pull it through the loop on your hook. So now you have a little circle, and you're going to chain 2. 1, 2, yarn over, ready for a double crochet, and you go into the center of that circle. Can you see there's an opening there? Go in there and bring up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we are going to do another one. Same thing. There we go. So this is a granny cluster, what I call, and really it's made up of 3 double crochets. But of course the first one here, we created that by making 2 chains because otherwise you can't get the height. So now we're going to do 2 chains, and now we need to do another 3 lots of 3 double crochets, 2 chains. So yarn over into the same circle opening there, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that is our second cluster. Chain 2 and 3 more double crochets into the circle. Chain 2 and another 3 more double crochets into the circle. And another chain 2. So this is the center of our granny square, and now we go to the first V here. So we are skipping the 2 chains from the chain that we did to start with. Then we go under the strands of the first V that we see there, yarn over, and we bring up a loop, and that loop is pulled through the loop on your hook. And this is the center of our granny square, and I have already made the 4 that I will need for the back. So those are ready as well. So now we are going to cut off our yarn and you pull through the loop. There we go. So that's our first round done. Now we are going to go and start the second round. Make a slip knot, insert your hook, close the loop, and we are going to get started in a corner opening. So acting as if you were already crocheting, you're going to yarn over, insert into the corner, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you're going to do that 3 times. So those are your 3 double crochets for your first cluster. Now in each corner you are going to place a cluster, 2 chains and another cluster of 3 double crochets. So that's 2 and another one that makes 3. So this is our first corner done. Then you move over to the next corner chain space and you do the same thing. So you're placing 3 double crochets, 2 chains and 3 double crochets. There we go. And we move on to our next one. So you will have to repeat this little sequence of 3 double crochets, 2 chains and 3 double crochets 4 times in this round. And here I'm already doing the last cluster. So there we go. Now we're going to go over to the first cluster we did. This here is called a standing double crochet. And this top here always closes up a bit for me. So what I do, I go over to this V here, I go under that one there, and I do my slip stitch so it lays over that standing stitch that closed up for me. Then I pull up the yarn, cut it off, pull it through, and there we go. That's our second round done. Now we are going to do the third round. I'm just picking colours here as I fancy, basically. So in gold, again, make your slip knot, insert your hook. And let's get started. So this time, as you can see, you still have your corner spaces, but you also have locations on the sides between your clusters. And of course, now you are going to have to be placing clusters there as well. So starting in a corner, because that always makes sense, you're going to do that first standing double crochet, then add another 2 to make the first cluster, chain 2, and then do another 3 double crochets for another cluster. So this is your corner sequence: 3 double crochets, 2 chains, 3 double crochets. You do that in every corner. Now we are going to do 3 double crochets in between the clusters from the previous round. And off we go, doing another corner sequence, because of course we are here, we are at the corner chain space. And once again, now it is time to do a side cluster. Three double crochets, and off we go doing our corner clusters and chains again. Let's have a look. There we go. See? And off we go for another cluster on the side. And yeah, so another corner cluster, because of course in each round you will be doing 4 corners, and you will notice that each side will become more and more clusters. So now we've done 1 cluster on each side. In our next row you will be doing 2 and then 3 and then so on. But of course we only do 2 in this project, so it's not too big of a granny square. There we go. Same thing again. We've got the closed up standing double crochet. We skip that, go under the strands of the next V, pull through our yarn and pull the yarn through the loop on your hook. There we go. So that is round 3. And now on to round 4. So let's get started with Lincoln to do the last round of our granny square. So make your slip knot and let's get started in a corner and do a corner. So 3 double crochets, 2 chains and 3 double crochets. Then once again we look at the side and we see that now we have 2 locations for granny clusters. So that is what we are going to be doing. One here and one here. And then we're off doing a corner again. Three double crochets, 2 chains and 3 double crochets. And off we go doing 2 clusters on the side. That brings us to the corner again. Go. And yes, indeed, I do not put any chains in between my clusters. I only put a chain 2 in my corners. 1, 2, there we go. And then that helps you to make the turn, of course. And here we are, last few clusters. And there's the last one. And then of course, same story here again, closed up under the next V and do your slip stitch. There we go. So that is our large granny square for the front. Of course, we're going to have to sew in the ends. I will show you that in a moment, how to go about doing that. So this is our front. So now let's create the back. And the back, let me show you. I have created that by making 4 mini squares, but the last row is used as a join as you go with a pull through method. So that means you do your middle and then this row here straight away is used for joining. So I've done the circles, the middles already, because of course it's the same as for this one here. And I am going to use same color here, parchment, and I'm going to just finish my first little square. So I've done the middle. Now we're starting by doing the 4 corners. So the first square is finished completely, and of course in this case our squares are only made up of 2 rounds. So this has finished my little square, closed up under the V, pull it through and put your slip stitch over there. So this is my first one, so that goes there. And now for the next one, let me just use Lincoln. Take your next middle, and we're going to get started by doing a corner. There we go. Okay. And now we are going to do another corner, but we only do the first cluster. There we go. And a chain. So after your first chain, you're going to pull up a loop, take your hook out. You're going to go over to your next square, put the hook through the corner chain space there, then put the loop back around the hook and bring the loop through the chain space. Close it all up a bit and do a chain. Now you are going to start doing the double crochets for your corner again, so 3 double crochets, but each time you do one, you are going to attach it to the adjacent square. So do your double crochet, pull up your loop, take that hook out, go to the double crochet on the other square, go under the V there, put the loop back around your hook and pull it through. So then the next double crochet, pull up the loop, take your hook out, go under the V of the next double crochet on the adjacent square, under the 2 strands, put the loop around, close it up and bring it through. And you do the third one, same thing, pull up a loop, take your hook out, put it under the V, put the loop back around the hook and bring it through. So now we have completed that first corner. Now we go on to the next corner and we do our double crochets there. But once again, each time you're going to go underneath the V's here, pulling the loop through so you can attach both the squares together. And of course it should all tally up because you've got the same amount of stitches on each side. And so now you're doing the corner, so that's a chain, pull up a loop into the corner chain space, put the loop back on, close the loop and bring it through. Chain 1. And then of course you are going to continue doing your square, but of course there's nothing to attach it to, so you can just keep going. There we go, and we do one more corner here. And we finish the round. There we go. So now we have two little squares attached together. Okay, so on to the next color. Making your slip knot, insert your hook, and my next little center here as well. So I'm going to get started, of course, with doing a standing double crochet and then my cluster, my chain 2, and another cluster of 3 double crochets for my first corner. There we go. Now I am going to get started on my next corner. So 3 double crochets into the next chain space. There we go. 1 chain. Then we go over to our little creation that we have here already. And we are going to go into that chain space there. So lift out your hook into the corner chain space, loop around the hook and bring it through the chain space. And you do a chain 1. Then do your double crochet and pull up the loop into the V and bring through the loop, and you continue like this. And by doing this and by using different colors, you can see really prettily how you are putting this together. So that's 3 double crochets, yeah. So I'm already going on to the next lot here as well. And I think it's a really lovely technique. Obviously, you can use this technique for a whole blanket. So you use the last row each time and you pull through the loop each time. So what I do here, when you are doing a corner, but you are sort of in the middle where everything else is connected as well. So I've done my chain, my first chain here. I'm going to pull out my hook, and instead of going into the chain space here, I am going to go into this chain space. In a moment, when you're doing the last one, I go into this chain space. Okay, so I go into the opposite chain space to do my loop through, chain 1, and then you continue your round on the square that you're working on. And there we are. Okay, so on to pistachio. This is the last square that we are going to be attaching, but of course this time we are going to be having to attach it to 2 sides. So let's get started. We do a corner. Three double crochets, 2 chains and 3 double crochets. Then we do half a corner, 3 double crochets and a chain. There we go. So then we are going to go on to our project here. So loop up, take your hook out, go into the corner chain space, put the loop back around, close it up and bring it through the chain space. Do a chain. Now double crochet here, loop up, and of course we do the same thing as we have been doing all along. There we go. So that's the first corner done. And on to the next corner. There we go. And I really like how you can now see that we have put these together because, of course, of the different colored yarn that we are looping through each time. So on to the last double crochet there. So do your chain for the corner, then you loop up your loop, and this time instead of going into that one, I'm going to go into this one here. Take your loop, put it round your hook, close it up and bring it through. And then of course you are going to have to do your chain 1. There we go. And then you continue with doing the double crochets, loop up into the first one here and loop it through. Pull up under the V. So straight away you are doing the second side. Well, before, of course, we were able to just keep crocheting because there was nothing there. This time here, of course, you have a second side to deal with. That's the corner done. Now on to the last corner here. Under the V. So there we are. So that's the 3 double crochets, chain 1 into the corner chain space, put the loop around and loop it through, chain 1, and of course now we finish our square. And we slip stitch to close the round. There we go. Okay, so I've already made all these ends disappear, and here I've done a few already as well, but I just wanted to show you, yes, I do leave quite long ends, but that is on purpose because I want to be able to sew in my ends quite easily, and you just can't do it if you know, if your ends are really short. I do little loop the loops going back to where I came out and just going into that a little bit below that. There we go. And I just keep going round like that, and I always stay within the color. So I'm not going to be sewing in this cream into here because that just wouldn't make any sense, because you are going to see that through there. So I just stay in the same color, picking up little strands, doing little loop the loops. So we are going to crochet the 2 sides together with pistachio, making your slip knot, insert your hook, and now making sure that you have both the good sides on the outside. So this is the good side, this is the good side, yeah, like this. We're going to get started in a corner. So insert into the corner chain space and insert into the corner chain space like so, and you do a single crochet, scoot it over down below, and you do another single crochet, a chain, and another 2 single crochets. And this has now made quite a nice corner there. Now we are going to pick up the V's, so both strands of this V and both strands of this V here, and you are going to do a single crochet around that. So 2 strands and 2 strands of the next one, and off we go. And this is the location where I've sewn it in, so make sure you get the right strands there, and we can keep going. And of course, it doesn't look like it, but you have got the same amount of stitches, so make sure. There we go. So now we're here. Here we have 2 corners put together, but we are just going to skip those and go on to the next cluster. And this is how you are going to work your way all along this side to the next corner. Then when you get to the corner, you're going to do the same thing as we did before. 2 single crochets, a chain, and 2 single crochets. Then off doing your stitches again, picking up the V's on both sides. And you work your way all around the square like this. Just 1 more single crochet to go here. Then once again here, that standing single crochet closes up for me. I go under the next V that I see there, and I do a slip stitch. Of course, then you cut off the yarn and you pull it through like that. So here we have it, my new crochet buddy. Now, as you can see, it's a little bit bulging on the sides here, and this one here is bigger than this square, but it works. It helps for you to be able to push your hook through, for instance, or even put your scissors in like this, because there's a little bit of space between. And I love the way you can just put everything on there and it just sits next to you on the sofa or on the table where you're working, and it keeps everything nice and handy. So in videos, when I lay down my scissors, and it makes a lot of noise, I have tried to train myself to lay them down on this, so it doesn't make that horrible noise. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!